Skippin' Loafer is a new slice-of-life romantic comedy anime produced by PA Works, also responsible for Angel Beats, Buddy Daddies, and Opera Ranmei, based on the manga by Misaki Takamatsu. As of recording, its first episode has aired on Crunchyroll, and it is, without a doubt, a masterpiece of a first episode. And it's so good, I decided to make a something-minute video explaining why, because there's plenty of slice-of-life and romantic comedies that have passable first episodes, even good first episodes. But when I say masterful, what I mean is that this show has introduced me to its first two main characters, its premise, and sold me on both within 20 minutes. I've rewatched this episode at least 5 times, analyzed it, and using my powers of needlessly nitpicking every inch, I felt compelled to explain why this beautiful show works so well. Let's start with where the show starts. The introduction of Mitsumi Iwakura, a rural Japanese schoolgirl who's just moved to Tokyo to start her first semester at a fancy high school. We see her on the phone with her friend who's wishing her luck, and we see an excited Mitsumi striking an endearing and ready pose over a cityscape, a smile plastered on her face. This intro isn't some long-winded lore dump. It's 39 seconds exactly. The only explicit contextualization we get is a single omnipresent line of introduction from Mitsumi indicating that she's starting her high school journey. Instead of detailing her wants and likes right off the bat, the anime trusts its animators and voice actors to convey Mitsumi's personality through this pose and look, a naive, good-natured confidence, and a tone of voice that characterizes Mitsumi to a T. Before we continue, this episode breaks into a really gorgeous opening segment, and while we could analyze each frame, such as the lovely spring colors and telling facial expressions of each character, the highlight, which is by the way an amazing show, there is no outward power dynamic displayed, no specific person hardcore crushing on the other or trying to dominate the other. They seem like incredibly close friends. There's a refreshingness to this dance that carries through to the tone of the episode, a new joyous spring for our main characters. Mitsumi is from a small remote town by the Ishikawa prefecture, the kind of town where you know everyone and everyone knows you, where her grade consisted of about 8 people that would do everything together. But this isn't some romanticized split between her and her friends, which the show actually parodies for a moment, and it's kind of great. It's rather a casual affair, because in real life, there are these things called cell phones, which Mitsumi uses to call her best friend Fumi each night, something that's incredibly relatable. We get a few incredibly detailed shots of other students getting ready for school, some faster than others, and Mitsumi wearing an actually appropriate school uniform that not only looks pleasant in watercolor blue, but also doesn't depict her as having massive melons. And you'll see this more throughout the show. Character designs are incredibly well grounded and not really funky looking. It's the type of anime that your mom can walk in on and you don't have to explain why the MC is motorboarding a clearly distressed schoolgirl, and I hate how that sentence is often not an exaggeration. Also, just on a side note, this anime is beautiful to look at. Every shot is colorful, every movement and lightning precise, just a joy to look at. Anyway, we're introduced to now Mitsumi's aunt, whom she will be living with for her school year, who is both a hard worker and a rather kind and caring motherly figure for Mitsumi, and is canonically trans. Oh my god, a positive, non-joking, not over-the-top, rather matter-of-fact trans representation in anime. And Mitsumi doesn't even draw attention to it. I don't even think she mentions it. And honestly, I didn't even realize it until the second episode that this was the case, and it literally had to be spelled out in front of me. But I think that just goes to show both how competent the show's writers are and just how good-natured the show is, not trying to go for some easy, low-hanging fruit or attacking an often marginalized group. It's honestly really heartwarming that now being trans is just such a non-issue. Well, with that aside, Mitsumi prepares to board the train to school, confident and with her phone's lock screen depicting her family's pets, which are adorable and again adds to her relatability, both an animal lover and generally a kind and confident person, and we're only 4 minutes and 25 seconds in. And right now, we get probably the most inner monologue that we'll get from Mitsumi in this episode, where she explains how her confidence comes from her planned out life, deciding that she'll graduate top of her class in law school, join the government, and in her retirement, become a mayor of her old town. lofty goals, but tangible ones that give us insight into Mitsumi's values: ambition, intelligence, service to her community. It's also clear that while this is her plan, she doesn't hold these standards to the people around her. She is ambitious, but she is not annoyingly dogmatic or critical of her peers. It's nice to see a main character with realistic direction, another point towards her relatability. Next, we cut to the beginning of the entrance ceremony, and our second main character, Shima, a laid-back blonde-haired boy who we saw earlier, still in bed while his peers were preparing for the day. He's on the phone with a friend, asking him where he is, and without any hesitation, Shima says he probably just won't make the ceremony. And then he sees Mitsumi, stuck to a wall, having a hardcore anxiety overload. That's right, baby, we get our first character flaw 6 minutes and 38 seconds in. Mitsumi is horribly lost and out of her depth, to the point of simply freezing up. Shima, being a curious dude, walks up and asks her what's wrong. And it's love at first sight, and she just gives him the crazy eyes and grabs his arm, looking like she's about to hurl all over him, and yells at him, how do they get to school? And Shima totally understands and offers to help her. No love at first sight, not even a blush. Mitsumi is far too concerned with getting to school on time, and for good reason. And Shima is so laid back that he's just happy to help. And he tells her not to worry, it's just an entrance ceremony. But Mitsumi raises her voice a bit, declaring it might just be an entrance ceremony for him, which she does immediately try to apologize for, another point of endearment, but no anime gas from Shima, just a knowing smile. The two make it off the train, and Shima suggests they make a run for it, to which Mitsumi is horribly unqualified for, huffing and puffing every step of the way, filled with doubt about her first day, worrying about her parents and siblings, and feeling remorseful for lashing out at Shima, as unintentional as it was. And it's clear to us, the audience, that Mitsumi may be out of her depth, but she's not stupid, and she's not a hapless child. She is a real person with ambition and regrets, who understands that she has faults and that she can be ashamed of her actions. But she will not pity herself. She will pick herself up and run barefoot, looking like a fool, bearing her frustration on her face to make it to school on time, because it matters to her that much. And this is the moment the anime sold me. This very moment, because like us viewers, Shima sees Mitsumi fall, get up, and then run past him, giving it her all, and he doesn't say a word, but you can see in his face, trance-like almost, as he begins to follow her. And he has to pick up his speed to keep up behind her. And you can see in his face a silent epiphany he has as cherry blossoms fall all around him, that he wants to follow her. That this out-of-breath, lost, barefoot girl might be the most interesting and honest person he's met in a long time. This isn't love at first sight. This is like 10 minutes and 40 seconds in. The two barely make it on time, out of breath, but just in time for Mitsumi, the class representative and top of the students, to give a speech. That's right, the ambition of Mitsumi isn't just a dream. It's something she's been actively acting out ever since she got here. She goes up to the stage and promptly forgets her speech in her backpack. Now, a lesser anime would probably do some sort of cop-out right about here. Either Shima somehow saves the day, or Mitsumi does something funny or embarrassing, and the whole thing is played for a joke. Skippin' Loafer is not a lesser anime. Mitsumi stands there and recites her entire memorized speech verbatim, without blinking, without stammering. This scene is not played for laughs. It's to reinforce Mitsumi's conviction. She is not there by dumb luck. She is not some hapless protagonist. She is the top of her class for a reason. And she does care about what she does. And while it's a rudimentary speech overall, it's also a very kind one, a particular line that I think hits home in this anime specifically. None of us could have made it this far alone. We must remember the support we received from our families and friends. Try to live up to their expectations. And like us, Shima stands in awe of Mitsumi because he knows what she went through to give that speech. And likely, how grateful he is that he was able to help her give it. And when it's all over, Mitsumi leaves the stage to an applause and then promptly vomits all over her homeroom teacher's favorite blouse, because this is still a comedy anime. And how Mitsumi is colloquially known as the puker by the entire homeroom class on her very first day. But that's okay, because Shima doesn't call her puker. He asks if she's okay and tells her that she really bossed it out on the stage, that he loved her speech. And now it's Mitsumi's turn to like him, to think of him as a saint with a dreamy face, in her head, of course. Not googly eyes, but a wild, happy admiration. And then Shima offers to be her friend, to the surprise of the whole class, who are all collectively losing their mind over him. And right there, we have a proper and natural introduction and endearment of our two main characters, 15 minutes and 10 seconds in. The rest of the episode helps to really build out this dynamic and the characters that will be surrounding Mitsumi and Shima in the coming episodes. Like this jealous Mika, who I'm sure fans will hate, but she's a product of her environment and crippling social pressure, so I'm going to give her a pass. And Mitsumi's relationship with Fuma and her own family, where she omits her struggles for the day, but even her siblings can tell that she at the very least got lost on the way to school. And there's even more moments of humanization for Mitsumi, how she holds her phone with an extended pinky finger, how she and Fuma joke about her finding a boyfriend in Shima instead of doing some tropey tsundere stuff. Other examples of how Mitsumi is still a tiny bit full of herself after having a good day, how Fuma visits Mitsumi's siblings and parents to exchange vegetables and stories of how Mitsumi is doing, how now grabs food for the both of them and they sit down and have a nice dinner. And lastly, most importantly, a little cut of Shima, eating out with his friends. We don't see Shima's family or home life. We barely know anything about him. He appears to be a bit of a himbo, but looks are deceiving. And he recounts to his friends how he overslept, which they expected and josh him for, but also how he ran to school in the morning, which they scoff a bit in disbelief. But it's telling how he admits he didn't think that they would make it that morning, how it almost is a miracle that they were able to make it, and yet he still ran with her the whole way, and how fun he thought it was. Shima leaves the moment mention of a girl is brought up, rather nonchalantly though, not some weird tsundere stuff on his part. And he says he needs to go home early, because he wouldn't want to be late for tomorrow. And bam, you have it there, hook, line, and sinker. A little perfect bit of character development. Shima has found a reason to care. Oh, and Mitsumi F's up her sleep schedule. Episode 1 is over. 22 minutes and 10 seconds. It is hard. It is really hard to convince an audience not only that two characters have chemistry in only a single episode, but it's even harder to implant that chemistry with the idea that said chemistry could become something much more in a realistic way. Not a destined by fate, the anime must go this way, but in a way where we can look at it and go, those two will be together for a while. The character work done in Skip and Loafer is immaculate. The nuance behind the eyes of each of these people, these really real feeling people, is there. Next to the kindness and honesty that not many writers have the capability to portray, next to such a realistic world. Mitsumi is such a strong, relatable, and admirable protagonist, with faults and strengths in perfect harmony. And Shima, though we know only a little bit about him, clearly has a lot more underneath his smile, but that doesn't make that smile any less real. Their chemistry is adorable and believable. Two sides of a coin bridged by the honesty between them, forged in Mitsumi's lowest moments and in her strongest. I don't even care at this point if the story ends with them together, so long as their friendship blossoms. And that's such a healthy relationship to have in a rom-com anime, it's kind of insane. The music, the animation, the colors, the atmosphere of Skip and Loafer are such high quality and effort that I can say after watching this episode and the next two, that this is a hard contender for anime of the season and a personal favorite of mine. So if you really, really want a realistic, feel-good, wholesome, and emotionally nuanced anime, as of 3 episodes, I can say Skip and Loafer is a must-watch recommendation with an easy 9 out of 10 first episode. Thank you for watching. This is a bit of a different, more analytical style review than what I'm used to, so I hope you like it. Please remember to like and comment on the video, even something dumb, because it really helps the algorithm, especially for an anime video. And if you want more videos like this, then hit that subscribe button. I'd love to see you around more. I really would. My name is Lachlan Star Eyes, and I want to see you next time. Bye!